he thinks he's all that and a bag of chips and does not have any understanding of what others perceive him to be or how they perceive him.
That's a real Steven Seagal problem, yeah.
Hi, I'm Teresa. Welcome to our weekend show of Cocoon Cast, where we deep dive into movies and discuss all things cinema.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. Today we will be discussing the new movie, Dream Scenario.
And we have some superb Hollywood news.
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's more Superman casting news.
Wow, let's get started.
Paul Matthews feels like the world has often overlooked him and settled into what others consider a comfortable life. But when he becomes a major celebrity after playing a minor part in what feels like everyone's dreams, this somewhat tranquil existence is shattered. Will Paul have to give up his dreams in order to prevent his family's worst nightmares?
Hey, Rebecca, Nick's back! Nicolas Cage, he's back.
He can act! I have so much faith in this man now.
Wow, and you were losing some faith on this man.
The retirement plan suffered my faith. The unbearable weight of massive talent. I don't care what anyone says. No, sorry. No.
I liked that movie.
Did you like Sympathy for the Devil? Did you see that one?
No. Okay, come on now. The retirement plan. We reviewed this and we both agreed. But Pig. You have not even seen Pig.
That is true. I have not seen Pig.
He is good, and you're right. He's back. And what was your thought? We were watching trailers. We were seeing this. I was excited. The box was excited. Our Cocoon Cast team was excited, and you were.
I know Nick Cage can get in his own way and block himself from delivering an amazing performance. Thankfully, that was not the case here. I was so worried that he was going to ham it up, go over the top, and he was just going to be that parody of Nick Cage that everybody just associates with him nowadays. This gave me faith he can act again.
I don't know if he ever lost it. I'll be honest with you. I will say there were some performances. Retirement plan. And other performances where he was less than exciting or stellar. So I do think that there is a part where it's the movies he was taking had some impact. But this one, it was interesting. On the way over to the studio, you had said his performance was understated.
I guess I'll see you in my dreams.
Yeah. Of course not.
But you really liked that.
I did. I'm going to keep using that word throughout this review because I feel like it would be so easy to overblow certain characters, certain actions, even some story beats could have easily been played for laughs that were very unintentional.
Dad, please help me!
I'm not actually doing anything to them.
It's a dark comedy for sure.
Have you been dreaming about me?
Have I been dreaming about you?
Yeah.
There are some laughs. They're designed to be laughs.
Yes, I agree with that, though. You don't want somebody laughing at the movie when it's not supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the tough part with any type of comedy is it's out of your hands the minute you show it to the public. They might find something that you were totally meaning to play as a serious moment, and it just becomes a joke. I know when we watched Five Nights at Freddy's, you mentioned a particular scene that you're like, it's supposed to be uplifting. It's supposed to solidify the character. And you're like, I just started laughing.
The bottle floated in the canal. No, this was worlds different. The screenplay, what'd you think about that? I was pretty enamored by it.
I thought it was pretty sharp. I was impressed with how real this felt. Even in this unreality.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a little like, the scenario is a bit artificial.
It can come with some less desirable side effects. You should be prepared for that.
Maybe we should cool this thing off.
However, I was buying it.
And it's not easy to buy dark fantasy comedy unless you're in this exaggerated fantasy world. To have it parsed down to something that feels like it could happen in our world, I think takes great skill with the screenplay.
I appreciated also that it was in our time, meaning they were talking about texting, they were talking about cancel culture, so there were a lot of references that we would know today. And I think your statement about the fantasies being overblown, I'm going to use the movie you like, which is The Beau is Afraid. That was so over the top. I understand that was the intention. However, had this been over the top, I don't think I would have liked it as much. I think I would have been
Distracted? I know that was your main complaint when we watched Beau, was it just became so distracting that you just started to lose sense of the plot.
Well, there's a certain part where you're trying to drop everything. And it wasn't, I didn't like Beau is Afraid because I didn't understand. I understand a lot of the references in it. However, it just became ludicrous because it became so ridiculous. And granted, this movie, the screenplay is about Nick Cage shows up. He's a college professor, Paul Matthews, and everyone starts to dream about him, which obviously doesn't happen to people, but it played so many different parts. It played the comical, the light to the dark, and all the places in between. His wife, Juliana Nicholson, played a wonderful role as his wife.
And I was really impressed with her too, because she was able to keep balance with Cage as her scene partner.
Yes.
And they are interacting together most of the movie. And I think in order to have that foundation that's going to ground the movie, especially it becomes more clear in the ending.
Yes, that's true, without giving any spoilers.
Without giving any spoilers.
Yes. But I liked the story, the references, like I said, I liked those, the casting, I liked the directing had a nice pace to it as well.
It didn't feel heavy-handed. It didn't feel, we're going to do this moment to do this moment. It felt very even keel, which is nice because you don't want to spend your whole time watching this movie going, wait, why is this happening? This feels over the top. Instead, it just created this scenario, so to speak.
Yes.
That these unnatural things are happening and people are questioning. The movie is very aware of its audience.
And who would you say the audience is for this movie?
I think the audience is maybe a philosophical penny. Somebody who wants to spend time with their movies and kind of comb back the layers, but still appreciate a surface story.
And I believe that if you miss a lot of the references, you will still enjoy this movie, to be honest with you.
Speaking of the big suit.
Oh, yes, the David Byrne suit.
Even if you don't know what that iconic piece of costuming is, it does come back in a very meaningful way. But if you know what it is, it just becomes funnier.
I was thinking about a lot of the Jungian references or Jung, and I'm sure some people are like, Jung and the Restless? What? Who's that? If you're not familiar with psychology, that would be a reference you'd miss. Understandable, not even a problem, because they do put the dots close enough where you can generalize, oh, okay, I sort of get that. And as you said, the David Burns, the Talking Heads suit comes back. So the callback, I thought was actually pretty smart, and I appreciated what you were saying. It wasn't, the movie was just doing something to give you a bigger payoff later. Even if it just stopped there, it would be impactful. And that's why I like the pacing, because it felt day to day.
I'm going to bring up Beau is Afraid again.
Oh, here it is.
One of the things I loved about Beau is Afraid, it was not afraid to layer on the symbolism. I will admit, in some moments, it became a little thick for...
A little thick.
I enjoyed that, though. What I enjoy with Dream Scenario is it takes common archetypes and symbols, but it assembles them in a way that you see the characters mirrored through them a bit more, instead of, I'm just focused on the story. Instead, you're starting to learn more about the characters and how they see this world.
I liked Nicolas Cage. I felt for him as he was going through this. I felt it because it was interesting, meaning the movie was through his eyes per se. However, it almost felt like kind of an odd, like a documentary. We were watching him, we were watching his wife, his kids, who he worked with, his students, people he was encountering. It's almost like, it sounds crazy, but it almost felt like The Office episode.
Yes.
I know it's a crazy analogy, but it almost felt that way. And then you're sitting there and, the Michael Scott character, Stephen Carell, is up there talking, going, well, this is what's going on for me. And it almost felt that way, that there was a camera crew following him around.
I was also really impressed with the emotional range that the screenplay allowed us to see. Nicolas Cage's character, Paul, is not a nice guy. I want to make that abundantly clear. He's not a nice guy through the whole film. there are moments where he is selfish and his selfishness comes back to play against him. But it also impacts the characters in ways that they don't see. So in that way, I thought it was also very real.
It's funny. I actually liked his character. There were parts that I had less respect for him because he's a pretty passive guy. You and I had talked about there were things that had he done differently, his life would have turned out differently. And you were saying he felt a little victim-y at different points.
Very much so, especially in the beginning. I'd love to have a spoiler discussion on this movie, so comment below if you've seen this movie and you'd be interested in us doing so.
Oh, absolutely. I would be. And it's not even how do they fix the movie. It would be just having a frank discussion about it, knowing that our cinema community has seen the movie or is open to hearing the spoilers before actually seeing the movie.
And our team was having several different discussions on how certain actions were perceived and the ramifications in the story. So that's partially why I was interested in opening up a spoiler discussion to our community.
I would love to hear our cinema community and their explanation. So absolutely, please comment below. Do we have any questions from the box?
Director and screenwriter Christopher Borgli has done a few movies before this, actually only two. One's called Drib and the other one's called Sick of Myself, and now he's done this movie. Now that you've seen this movie, do you want to go back and see his other two movies? Does it make you curious?
I'm really curious. This is only his third film, and he's produced this amazing work. I'd love to see this. I heard about Sick of Myself last year. It kind of got swept under the release radar after hearing about it for me. Drib does sound familiar. Teresa told me the premise, and that sounds interesting to me. I would love to see Christopher develop as a filmmaker. He's really blown me away with this one.
He's young, too. He was born in 85, and so it makes sense to me that you haven't seen much. The Drib, there was a little less on that movie, although there was a little bit of praise here and there. But The Sick of Myself, I would absolutely love to go see.
I'd love our cinema community to comment below. If we have to pick one to watch, which would you like us to pick?
Oh, and I'd love to hear from our cinema community commenting below if you've seen one of the two of these movies. And
that's a good point.
Can you comment on that? And no spoilers. But absolutely, I would be absolutely open to seeing either or both of these movies after seeing this movie. Do we have any other questions from the box?
Nicolas Cage is known for some very iconic roles and then some roles that are not so iconic. How do you think this stacks up against his iconic roles?
I think the thing with Nicolas Cage we see is that there's multiple Nicolas Cages. Ironically, they bring this up in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I think this is a good, serious Nicolas Cage film. If you want to know what the man is capable of, please watch this movie.
Nicolas Cage is quite an actor. And I'll admit, he's not my favorite. There's like this love-hate relationship with him. When he does something great, I forget how great of an actor he is. I go back to him like, oh, that's right. Leaving Las Vegas. He won an Academy Award for it. I know the box loves The Rock, Gone in 60 Seconds. You like the National Treasure ones.
I do. And I like Renfield. That was the more modern film that I
that one
liked.
just came out too.
I think he has the potential. I think he has the range, but sometimes he just gets too much inside of his own head. He falls for the myth that it is Nick Cage.
Well, and that's why the weight, or the unbearable weight in your case as well, of Massive Talent. I thought that was hilarious.
I liked parts of it. There were some parts where they definitely poke at the Nick Cage myth legend.
And to me, there's wisdom to that versus he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips and does not have any understanding of what others perceive him to be or how they perceive him.
That's a real Steven Seagal problem, yeah.
I happen to know someone who actually loves Steven Seagal, so we will check in with that individual at a later date to see if that's accurate. All righty, let's do some Moth ratings. 1 to 5, 1 to 5. What do you think?
This is a 3 and a wing for me.
3 and a wing. Number one reason.
This is a pretty solid movie. I feel like maybe a little bit more time with some of the impact that was created for the other people in his family is pretty much limited to his wife.
That's pretty accurate. So supporting cast, you would want to hear more from them, see more from them?
Yes, because the dreams seem to create this community-wide ripple that changes his life. And the wife constantly goes, our daughter's being bullied. And you don't really see the effects of this until the last minute. And it becomes a poor me situation and just barrels on top of each other. But for the most part, I really did enjoy this movie.
Wow. Would you recommend the movie?
I'd highly recommend this one. This is not a midweek movie review, guys. Please go see this one.
All right. My moths will come see me now.
Ooh,
they think they're done. They think they're done with you. I would say it's a 4 moth rating.
I thought you were going to give it 4 and a wing.
Ooh, no. I think it's I don't want to be swayed to the dark side. I would say exactly. I would say it's a solid 4. It does have a tendency to go maybe a little bit more. The ending I thought was good.
I really like the ending.
How do you wrap that up? And believe it or not, to me, it felt realistic based on the movie. I could have lost a whole moth there. The acting I thought was very good, and as you said, the supporting. And I would agree with you. I think that is what's keeping me from a 4 and a wing. Is I would have liked to have seen more character development with the supporting cast. I would say in Nicolas Cage's character, Paul Matthews, I would say there was a lot of growth. However, there was some growth that was not
it was teased. That was the problem for me. It was teased, and then there was no follow-up with it.
That's the problem, I think, that I wish there would have been a more solid, yep, this is it. And I understand the movie's 100 minutes. How much growth can you possibly have in that amount of time? However, they didn't really say how much time had passed. It almost felt like 2 weeks had passed and he had done all this growth. And I think that's the other part is I wish they would have given more of a timeline, or it would have been more clear what the timeline is. And then I think I would have been able to say, yeah, I think it deserves a little bit a higher rating for that.
If you enjoyed our review on Dream Scenario, please like, which helps more viewers find our cinema community, and subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming reviews, and please share it with your friends.
Rebecca, today we get to talk about who we are not sponsored by.
Who are we not sponsored by today?
Glad you asked. Today we are not sponsored by Purple Mattress.
Purple mattress like the color purple, Harold and the Purple Crayon?
No, like purple mattresses like you sleep on me.
Oh. Is that why you're wearing purple today?
It may be. Ooh. However, they're not sponsoring this, so this came out of my closet today. Let's talk about purple mattresses. What in the world do you know about purple mattresses?
Well, they're purple and they're mattresses, but I feel like there's more to this story.
There is more to this story. Not only do they sell purple mattresses, which we'll talk about, they actually are purple and they're really purple. They sell mattresses. They sell bed frames.
So is it like made out of the same stuff as the mattress? It's like
no. Actually, the box in our bed frame is a purple bed frame mattress.
I did not know that. No wonder it's so squishy.
Yeah, it's so great. It's like whoop, cat crawls under it. Beautiful thing. They sell pillows, sheet sets, weighted blankets. We actually have a weighted blanket from Purple, and ironically, it is
not purple.
It's not purple. It's like a charcoal gray.
Come on, marketing synergy.
And that's the funny thing. They don't even sell purple weighted blankets.
Oh, see, that would be my first thing. You'd be like, curl up in a purple weighted blanket. You want to look like royalty.
I would have bought it, right? It's like some gray thing. It's like, it's weighted. It's kind of nice. They sell sheet sets.
Are those purple?
Yeah, actually, those are. And the pillows actually have a little squishy purple thing. It's quite interesting.
So your sheet sets and your pillows are purple, but your weighted blankets aren't.
That's about where we're at right now, yes. They used to even sell dog beds.
Okay.
Those have been discontinued. I guess, the dogs are complaining. They're like, yeah, no, we don't think we need the fancy, just a little thing on the floor. They're good. They even sell pajamas.
Oh, okay. I'm interested. Are they like fleece? Are they silk?
They're not purple.
They're not purple.
Their claim to fame is, I don't think they're utilizing this whole purple thing as much as they probably could, to be honest with you.
I'd love our cinema community to comment below. Have you tried any of the auxiliary purple products?
Like the dog bed. Yeah, the dog. Woof, 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 woof. I think Rover is bad because they discontinued it. However, they have this fancy little technology. It's called Gel Flex Grid. And literally they're little squares and they look like a little grid.
Sounds like I'm sleeping on an ice tray, but it's purple.
Actually, that's funny. It actually kind of looks like they call it their cushion technology. They actually have over 30 patents.
But not purple pajama patents.
Apparently the patents have left the pajama market. Well, and it's funny too, because I'm thinking this whole, Gel Flex, and it's in commas because, it's their product.
It's trademarked.
Well, no, it's patent. Remember, 30 patents. What's hilarious about that is you think about it, well, how did they get this great idea? And it was actually two brothers that started the company, which I thought was kind of interesting because you're always wondering, right? How in the world does this happen? And the reality is they came from Utah. This is a Utah company. They are located in Alpine, Utah. And ask the question.
Do they have a lot of trees up there?
Well, it's a lot of snow up there. But it's two brothers, Tony and Terry. And for everyone who asks, and literally it's hilarious, like one of the frequently asked questions is, are they Mormons? And the question is, yeah, I guess they actually are.
Are they twins?
I don't think they're twins, but their whole thing, like their family is a big part. They said there's like 44 children and grandchildren that are all part of this. They started actually pretty recently in 2007. They were actually making cushions for wheelchairs.
That's kind of an interesting start. It makes sense where they'd go from there, though.
Well, I thought how nice, right? If you're on a wheelchair for either permanently or just, you're recovering from a surgery or something, the whole idea is thinking that people are on their wheelchairs and they don't want to have people have bed sores, which I thought, oh, that's pretty sweet. So that's when they started the company. And then they've expanded into mattresses. As of 2020, they have 1,600 employees.
That's a pretty decent amount.
I thought so too. So you get to guess, what are they valued at? We always get to talk about how many people work for them and what's their company worth.
500 million.
Actually, no. I think we need to have people buy more.
Oh, okay.
Even though they're not sponsoring us, please feel free to buy. They're valued at $86.86 million as of 11/23.
Oh, sounds like somebody needs to buy a lotto ticket and put 86.
I would say. So I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
What would you want to buy from? How would you know if their mattresses were any good and you would like them?
Now, I know most mattress companies traditionally have a mattress showroom.
They do. And it's funny, when the box and I were looking a few years ago, they were only online, and now I think their biggest retailer is Mattress Firm. It used to be, I think, Sleep Train.
Oh, wow.
They changed it, and you can literally go in there and kind of, lay on it and roll over and twist and turn and go, do I like it? The other thing that's hilarious is they talk about if you want to try it out.
Okay.
So you try it out. But they also have squishies.
Squishies?
Literally, and they're they're called purple squishies.
Are they like plushies?
No, it's funny. They look like little doll beds.
Oh, okay.
And you can buy them off their website, of course, purple.com. And they're $3.
And they're like a small section of the purple mattress?
They're like a little small, and it's funny. They're like, oh, you can use them as a stress reliever. You can use them as a doll bed. They're like, you can even put your cell phone on them. And I'm like, well, it actually sounded kind of interesting. I thought, However, they're not sponsoring us, so I'm not going to get one at the moment. But they actually don't look too terrible. They say, if somebody rolls over, the other person's not going to feel it quite as much. They say
quite as much.
Well, it depends on if you jump on your bed and, the cat goes flying and your spouse or your partner goes, wah! Yeah, you might be in trouble just a tiny bit. But they're
no flying cats were harmed in the making of this episode.
Yeah, we didn't try. Oh, there goes the cat. We used to have 3 cats, and now we only have 1. Yeah, they're on the dog bed before it was discontinued. I just thought it was pretty cool. The part that actually grabbed my attention, other than the fact they're purple, and purple's my absolute favorite color, was they have the gel technology, right? The Gel Flex. They were saying they're hypoallergenic, they're non-toxic, which wouldn't you hope so? But they also say their beds are really cool, and they don't, not like cool, like wow,
Like
cool.
temperature holding
Like
cool?
temperature holding
Okay.
cool. And they say your body heat is not trapped and it dissipates, so you're comfortable all night. So I'm laughing, right? You go to the bed store and you're like, I'm going to sleep here all night to see if I get too hot. And if I get too hot, I don't think I'm going to buy the bed.
Sounds legit. I'd love to do that.
I think so. If you're looking for a squishy, if you're looking for a mattress, dog bed sheets, and pajamas, check out Purple Mattress. However,
They did not sponsor
they
us.
did not sponsor us, so thanks Purple Mattress for not sponsoring us. Good luck on the mattress, Bill.
It's that time in the show where we want to hear from you. We'd love to see you standing outside your favorite movie theater with your cinema community. Please send your photo to hello@cocooncast.com. Be sure to tell us who you are and what movie you're going to see so you can show our community your cinema spirit. Now let's talk about some of the cool comments we've been getting.
First up, we have Victoria Ramos JZ6MB. She commented on our review of Journey to Bethlehem. Here's an excerpt of what she had to say. I just saw Journey to Bethlehem 2 times. Wow. Once on November 9th and the other on November 12th. I absolutely loved it. My favorite musical you guys had done. Oh, that's awesome. Obsessed with it. Characters like the Fig the Donkey Stole My Heart and Milo Manham and Joel Smallborn were my favorite portrayals of Joseph and the Anticipator. Ever. Woo. One of the things that disappointed me, Gabriel was too scary when his eyes glowed bright blue as he yelled, Mary. Ooh. Wow.
Hey, that rhymed though.
Yeah, right. You know what I like about that is seeing a movie twice. That's
Well,
so
and
good.
so close next to each other. That tells you I want to see this movie again because it's made such an impact on me.
And we reviewed that pretty highly. We enjoyed that as well. I appreciate the positive and the not so positive because I know we had talked at one point, even the movies that you're not a huge fan of, you were saying you always look for at least 3 positives.
That's correct. I believe that movies do have something positive, even if you might not see it right away.
Absolutely. And to see it twice, I appreciate that comment. Thank you very much, Victoria.
Next, we have Angela Engel 2263 commenting on our review of Trolls Band Together. Here's what she said. Choosing a favorite is hard, but I think 2, 1, and 3. But really, I think all of them are great for lots of different reasons. I'm so happy to see a positive discussion of this movie. I feel like there is a real negative view on a lot of animated films that makes it a little embarrassing to like them. To see a positive review by 2 women is so delightful.
Aw, isn't that an aw?
That's an awe moment. For context, we did ask our cinema community in the Trolls review to give their troll rankings, and that's what Angela did in the first part of her comment. I agree. I think animation is a medium that, especially where we live, I think it's kind of turned into this joke. It's like, this is only for kids. This is only for this kind of story. And it's nice to see studios like DreamWorks take the stories that you would think were for kids and kind of give them some adult touches that aren't atrociously in your face. And I want to shout out Studio Ghibli for also giving mature stories as well. I think I would point this out if we were doing a TV special, but I think there's a lot of stories. If you have a Max subscription, I would like to spotlight Scavenger's Reign. I think it's a really mature sci-fi story, allowing us to process emotions that may feel overwhelming as adults, but give us a landscape. I'd love to see more of that in movies nowadays, too.
I agree with the statement that you had made that animation films sometimes get lost and sometimes they are more for adults versus kids. I think Trolls really hits the mark well, where there are some adult engagement pieces as well as kid-friendly pieces. I laughed. Her review or her ranking is yours, the 2, 1, 3.
No, mine is 2, 3, 1.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Ooh. I'm laughing because 2
It's
is
really
her
close,
favorite.
though.
And I appreciate that. And I love to hear. I laughed when she said it's a little embarrassing. I understand that. I completely understand that because historically animation and animated films were more for kids. But that is so changing now.
Well, and I remember when you guys dragged me to see Despicable Me. I hadn't seen the trailer, but the tale you told me about it was guy is a supervillain, steals the moon, adopts some foster kids, and I'm just like, I don't want to see this.
It's so fluffy!
It's so fluffy.
But now I know it's a movie that we put on from time to time because we enjoy
Yes.
it. And films like Megamind as well.
Oh, and I love you too, random citizen.
And I love you, random citizen.
That's so good. And how sweet it is for her to comment about us. I appreciate that. Finally, we have Matthew Roman 6807 commented on a review of Disney's Wish. Here's what he had to say. Great and intriguing conversation review. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your opinion on our review. Sometimes it's hard to tell our cinema community what we think as we think it at the moment, because you have to consider this. 9 times out of 10, when we do a review, we're coming back to the studio within 20 minutes of finishing the film. So I think it's really nice to see this encouragement, and not just because, hey, pat on the back, but it also gives us feedback. How can we take things that we've learned from this conversation and this review and transplant them into more things that our cinema community will love?
Absolutely. And I laugh because it's not just watch the movie and come back and record. It very much is throughout the course of the week doing a lot of background research without spoilers, without divulging storylines that will come up in the movie. And we love the conversation. And I appreciate other people. I appreciate Matthew watching and just recognizing that the conversation is the part of the movie. That's why we definitely encourage you, our cinema community, to comment below about how you think about this movie. Wish just came out. We just reviewed that.
That was Tuesday night that we saw.
Correct. That was just a few days ago. So we really appreciate that. Thank you so much for commenting, Matthew. And now it's time for some Hollywood news.
We have more Superman Legacy casting news to tide us over this Thanksgiving season.
Wow. Things to be thankful for.
Indeed. I'm so happy we finally got an answer to the question, who's going to be playing Lex Luthor?
Oh, tell me where you're finding this.
So the Hollywood Reporter actually brought us this exclusive article. It's quickly picked up by pretty much everyone else. Thank you, Aaron Couch and Warriors Kit. You're awesome.
Ooh.
You totally made my Thanksgiving weekend with us.
Wow. Talk about thanks, right? What's going on?
For those of you that have a Max subscription, I feel like I'm doing an ad for them. We should get sponsored by them. Seriously.
Or we should get not sponsored by them too.
If you've been watching the series The Righteous Gemstones, you may recognize a familiar face. Skylar Gisondo is going to be playing Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, all right. You're excited about that, clearly.
I am very excited about that. I describe The Righteous Gemstones as Shameless meets a mega church.
Oh, you told me about this. Oh.
You have to watch this show with me. It is so funny. But
Well,
it's
now that
also
Jimmy
really,
Olsen's in it, I must watch it, right?
you have to.
That just is such a combination where we go, it's like, no, those two things don't go together.
It's Shameless meets Succession with, what did I say? Hold on.
Mega church?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't even know what to say to that.
You're going to love it.
Oh, my. And he's Jimmy Olsen. Skylar is.
He looks a lot like Jimmy Olsen.
Wow. And who else do we have? You were saying Lex Luthor. Anyone else?
I'm going to hold that to the end.
Oh, who else? Then talk to me.
Sarah Sampaio is cast as Eve Tensmacher. Now, I haven't seen any of Sarah's work. A lot of people know her more for her modeling work.
I don't even know who that character is. Who is Eve?
Do you remember, I want to say Superman 2, when Lex kind of takes that school teacher under his wing?
Blip, blip,
Okay,
blip.
all right,
Yeah,
that's
right.
a no. Lex kind of uses his evil swarmy charm to sway Eve into working for him.
Oh.
It's no Mercy Graves.
I'm laughing. He has an educator under his belt. I'm confused. Let me help you. Yes, okay.
I love the fact that they're casting Eve specifically. There's characters like Mercy Graves, that's Lex's right-hand woman. She's very obviously evil. I like seeing characters like Eve because it almost kind of gives a ground floor glimpse into Lex's villainy and how that affects the average person.
Ooh. And Lex becomes quite powerful.
Lex has a lot of charisma. In the comics, he's actually president for a bit. And then the creme de la creme,
Oh.
Nicholas Hoult is our Lex Luthor.
Oh, all righty. You're excited.
I am so excited.
You can't tell.
I love Nicholas Hoult. He's one of my favorite actors working right now.
Oh, wow.
Him and Paul Dano.
Paul Dano, I know you love. Okay.
Anytime I see one of those two names, I get excited and I make plans.
I love the fact that he's evil and you're excited that he's evil.
No, but I love the fact that he's not afraid to embrace his inner baddie with this role.
His inner baddie.
Everybody's got one, man.
Yeah, the shadow side, speaking of the whole young thing, right? Oof. Evil inner baddie.
We're getting really spoiled with this new DCU. I think it's really cool. James Gunn actually replied to a fan on Instagram who asked him and said, is it going to just be the same tone with every movie? And he said, no, we have specifically picked filmmakers with different tones for different branches of the franchises. So,
oh, that's smart. I like that.
It's kind of what they were trying to do with Marvel before Marvel's like, hey, we got a good thing going. Let's stick to one thing.
It sounds like DC is coming up from the bottom, if you will, meaning Marvel has been up here and DC's been a little bit below. It sounds like they're being elevated in their choices and what they're doing going forward.
Sadly, that's not an inaccurate description. Marvel is starting to bottom out, especially with the box office loss of the Marvels and several of their other key properties as well.
Yes, I would agree with that. Do we have any questions from the box?
I was excited when Jesse Eisenberg was shown to be the future Lex, and now he's not. What do you think about that?
I'm disappointed. I feel like I'm going to be missing Jesse's performance. I feel like I didn't really feel sold with Gene Hackman. It just felt over the top.
Agreed.
And no pun intended, Christopher Reeve really brought the film into a more grounded place. I did kind of appreciate Kevin Spacey's performance in Superman Returns. I know the film has been land-blasted for years, but it's one of the few things that I actually did enjoy. I think part of the thing when you have comic book films is there's a cycle of change that comes in. I'm used to it because when you write comic books, sometimes there's a different writing team taking over a different arc. I just try to frame it in that mindset. I appreciate what I have, but I still miss what I don't have.
That's a great example because I wouldn't have thought of that as it relates to movies. And I understand, like you're talking about specifically superhero movies as relating to comics, but that's an interesting concept because I agree. I think once you have a certain actor or actress in a part, that just feels like the normal, unless they do this reboot, how many years later. But it makes sense that you can be flexible a little bit easier or a little bit more when change happens versus going, and as you said, I can miss people. I can appreciate the work they do, but I can jump on board when it's somebody new in the role that I'm familiar with.
It's very rare for me to vehemently go, no, do not cast this person.
And it doesn't feel like it's personal at that point. It just feels like they feel miscast.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what it sounds like.
Even Mara in Aquaman, I'm not a huge fan of Amber Heard, but I have enjoyed some of her work, like All the Boys Love Mandy Lane.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And I even like that Modesty Blaze movie that was kind of but I still had a fun time watching it. Mara's a character I've liked for a long time, so I always just get excited to see how are they going to interpret it. It kind of almost becomes like James Bond. When you're like,
that's a
different
great example.
Bonds put in different emphasis. Sure, there's a couple Bonds that feel a little bit more book accurate if you're more of a book accurate Bond person.
Yes.
But there's also some Bonds that really reflect the time period that they're in. So to me, it almost becomes a character study, and I get really excited to see what the performer brings to the table.
That's a good example of the Bond, because you're right. There are some more Ian Fleming friendly ones. There are some, as much as I love Sean Connery, he feels like a Bond of the time. But Daniel Craig was really wonderful. I know, I think it's maybe both my brothers, but I know one of my brothers really liked Roger Moore a lot. But like you said, they have different parts of them, and what part are they going to accentuate? And based on your vision of a Bond or a Superman, I still think of Superman as Christopher Reeve, and I believe I probably always will, even though I remember when I was a kid seeing the early version.
I also find it interesting when people like different performers.
Yes.
For the same reasons.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. I thought you were going to say, psychologically speaking, why do people choose such super characters?
That's also very interesting, but I find it interesting when differences are attributed to the same performer. And it's kind of cool because somebody goes, this one's more actiony and this one's more actiony.
That's
And you start
fascinating.
to see how people's prisms are filtered through their characters. Oh, it's that time. I see you saw my text message.
We're going to talk about it?
Yes, we're going to talk about it.
All right, I can stop doing this then.
Okay.
But if you stop talking about it, comes your direction.
Good to know. For those of our cinema community who are into animated films, you may recognize the name Aardman. Aardman uses a specific type of clay that is no longer in production. In fact, the company that makes this clay declared bankruptcy in March of this year. So they're on a limited timetable.
Let's talk about Aardman. They did Chicken Run, but Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep, they are well known. You grew up with Wallace and Gromit.
I did. I remember sitting at home on Saturday mornings and you just put in the DVD and we'd laugh.
We'd laugh. They're almost out of clay. This can't be true.
Unfortunately, it is. We heard this from the Telegraph. That's how
true.
you know how big of a deal this is.
Correct. That's the real deal over there. What do you think about all this?
Well, my first reaction when I saw that Robbie Collin wrote this, he's one of their more prominent film critics.
That's true.
First, I'm like, oh no, it's legit. Second, I was surprised that nobody has picked up the rights to this recipe for clay and started selling it.
I'm surprised because their product is called New Plast, the clay. I'm surprised Aardman didn't run in there and say, we'll buy it. We're going to keep doing this. But that's not the problem. The problem is they're running out of this clay. It's not, oh, they're an insolvent company.
No, and I would be really interested to see if Aardman would actually pick up the rights to New Plast and start manufacturing it for other animated studios.
I would think so. I'm just so dumbfounded. I'll be honest with you. That just doesn't happen.
A world without Aardman movies feels really strange to me.
Oh, I thought you were going to say feels very sad.
Well, it also feels sad and strange. Two things can coexist in the same space at once.
That's true. I hope this isn't the end of the story.
I do too, and it's going to add a bittersweet touch to Dawn of the Chicken.
Oh, Dawn of the Chicken, which is
Coming soon.
the sequel to
Chicken Run.
Exactly, and that's coming out very soon, actually.
It is. It's going to be interesting to see how this affects their relationship with other animated studios as well.
I would agree with that. I think this is obviously a big problem. Comment below if you have a favorite Aardman movie. Maybe it's Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep.
They did a pirate movie a few years ago. That was pretty funny.
I don't think... Oh, pirate movie. I thought you meant a pirate movie like, underground. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like a black market Aardman movie. That's what I thought you meant.
No.
No. All right. I'm locked in my chicken roll. Ooh. Do we have any questions from the box?
Do you think Aardman should hire some computer programmers and make digital clay that acts like the real thing so that they can have as much clay as they want for the rest of time?
Aardman has done CG in the past. It's called Flushed Away. It didn't have the same depth and physical resonance as some of their other projects. I know it was popular at the time, but for me, it just doesn't hold up anymore.
Well, if they're out of options, they may go back, though.
They may go back, and the nice thing is computers have advanced.
That's a great point. I'm still not thrilled.
I'm just worried this is going to turn into another Wish scenario.
Oh, ooh.
You have tech that the studio knows how to use, but on certain size screens, different formats, the animation just looks sloppy and not to the detailed level that it is. I remember when we were watching Wish in the theater, there wasn't that much detailing that I could see. When we were watching it at home, I saw more detail on that screen.
Which is pretty sad. Meaning that literally just came out, and Disney Studios is known for their animation.
Exactly.
100 years of animation.
And Disney animation is normally very sharp.
Yes, that's true.
You can definitely feel the textures. I know we were talking about Trolls Band Together. The highlight to me was I could mentally feel certain things existing in that environment.
That's true.
I just think the problem with the clay is it's very smooth to start with.
Sure, that's right.
And especially since Aardman lost a lot of their original prototypes in a fire about 2 decades ago, I think it's going to be tough to replicate that feeling if you decide to go the digital route.
I would agree with that. Something will be lost. Thanks for joining us this week. We're always excited to create experiences to bring our cinema community together.
Next week, we will have a special show covering a couple of our favorite retro rewinds. Watch for it to drop on Saturday.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and to share our channel.
If you enjoyed this show, you might check out last week where we reviewed Napoleon. And on our Movies and More weekly show, we reviewed Next Goal Wins.
Remember, cinema community movies are better together. Thanks for watching. See you in the next review.